Hey guys, in the last video I did a section on conglomerate rocks. That's those guys right there and there, and well, there's one over there, but I guess somebody called them Puddingstones. And, well, I did some research, and I guess you could call them that. There's 1 and 2 and 3. Just pulling them right out. 4. 5. Just one tiny little area. These are all over the place here, and I do mean all over the place. Now, I picked these examples out because the last time I told you guys about the fact that you can find low-grade garnet, amethyst, and even sapphire in these. And these examples are going to do just that. So let's get real tight here. This guy right here. There we go. That's a real pretty little garnet. And we can come over to these guys. These real dark spots here. They're not going to show up very well on camera. But these are really low-grade sapphires. And on this one, you can just barely see them because they're pretty faint and they're pretty light-colored. But there's little faint and light low-grade amethyst in that. So typically when you find gold sands and gold prospecting sands and you're finding garnets and amethyst and sapphire in your gold sands, these are the stones that they're coming out of. And in these areas you will find some super fine particles of gold in it. It's, you know, it's enough to make you smile, but it's not going to make you rich. But they're kind of fun. And a lot of sugar agates erode out of these, and you'll find them, they'll just pop right off. They'll break off right at the stone line, and you'll be able to find them. They look like they've almost been cabbed. I mean, seriously, you'll find a stone that'll break off, and you'll get a perfect cabochon break on stones, and you'll find them out here in the gravel bar like that because they've broken off. And typically that's what happens when these guys pop out. You see this little spot right here where it popped out? Something popped out of it. That's because there was probably a fractured stone in there that was like a half a stone. And in the freeze-thaw process that we get here in the gravel bars, this probably just a little moisture worked its way under it and popped it right out. And somewhere along here, you're going to find half stones that are all like that. Just a nifty little thing about the area. Okay, so here we are with another one of those conglomerate rocks or pudding stones, whatever you want to call them. And we talked about these little divots here. And how that is one of these guys right here getting popped out through the freeze-thaw process that we experience here in mountainous regions and river valleys. So what they look like when they pop off, I talked about how they look almost like a cabochon, like a naturally created cabochon. You see how flat that is? And essentially, it was on one of these stones, and it rolled over and got sheared off through contact with another stone, and it leaves you these natural cabochons. Now these are really super fun, especially if you like working with sugar agates and you make costume jewelry or any other kind of jewelry out of them. Because, well, most of the work has already been done for you. You have a organic shape. It's already flattened on one side. So the trip across the lap or the stone is going to be relatively short. Sometimes you don't have to saw it. I mean, could you imagine getting one of these things in a saw and just like carefully having it in a dop stick and held while you carefully take it through a saw? Be painstaking and maddening, but there are people who do it. Sometimes they just use a lapidary grinder and they'll just grind it flat because it's, well, amazingly faster. But if you're out there and you see these, it's no, you haven't found the remnants of somebody's costume jewelry collection starting to go back to nature. It's come out of these, and yeah, these guys. This is our leverite. We really do. It's about as big a trash rock as mica. And serpentinite. We view this as leverite. It's a novelty, and it's great when it breaks apart. That's the only time we pick this stuff up, is when it's starting to decompose and fall apart, because that's when it gets fun. Otherwise, it's a maddening experience trying to get one of these to come apart. Hey guys. Here's another piece, and this has got some pretty deep iron staining, and I wanted to get it at an angle where I could really show that in this light. You can see that there's an area here that's really deeply stained, as well as in each of the little pits. You can see some deep iron staining. That's going to show really well with this stone right here. You can see this bit of rust here, and it is almost gold colored. It is just so deep of a reddish stain. It's probably pyrite or some other kind of iron rich stone that did that. Could even be just iron ore, because that happens with these a lot too. But let's go ahead and spray these down and show you what's going on with these guys. You can see that they're really similar to the other ones in that they're really tightly packed stones cemented together with chalcedony. And yeah, who would have thought it? We throw these away so much, and I know I'm probably going to repeat myself a dozen times through this video when I say that, but we really do. We walk by this stuff all the time. Who would have thought that people in Michigan go nuts for it? But it's really cool stuff. If anybody there wants some, you know, hey, reach out, pick up the shipping. I'll send you boxes upon boxes of this stuff. It's no sweat to me. But cool stuff. Here's one of those conglomerate rocks that's starting to break down. We do find these every now and then, and it is kind of weird when you find them because you don't really know what to make of them sometimes. You can see that this guy is starting to decompose and break down, and there's bits of it down here that have broken apart. So what we're going to do is take a look at that, a little closer detail. It's almost a brown, iridescent, and glassy material. It just kind of breaks apart, fractures. It's just kind of coming apart in my hand. You can see the stones in there. Those little guys coming out. Now sometimes, depending on where you're at, this material I may be tempted to run a metal detector over, because you can pull little bits of gold out of it. Sometimes silver, sometimes platinum. They'll really, really surprise you sometimes. You can also crush this stuff up and get some super fine gold out of it. But we're going to be taking a sample of this to be sure. That's just a fun find. And it's really cool that I can show you what these look like when they start to break down. It's kind of a sight to see. So, let's just have a look at that. You can see stones are just popping right off of it. Just pulling them right out. Now look at that. It's a really nice little blue going on there. That's just kind of awesome. But I'm going to work on this, and I may put some of this in the Tumbler, and you may find this showing up in another giveaway. And a little later in this video, at the end of it, probably, we're going to go ahead and film picking a winner of our last giveaway, and I'll be sending those stones out to you. There were some pretty cool agates, and there's a little surprise in there, you know, considering that we are on the Illinois River, and this is one of the richest gold-bearing rivers in the lower 48. I may end up sending you some sand or something, who knows. But anyway, let's go ahead and pick off some of this stuff, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get it all broken up later on. Alright, we're going to break a little sample off of here and have a look-see. Alright. See how it's almost like mica? And the stones are all bound up in it. It's pretty loose. I'll pull another one out here. It's kind of coming right off. It's a little purple one on the back side here. I'm going to see if I can get that loosened up. Came out in chips. Right. The whole thing is just breaking right apart. So we'll take some of these stones, run them through the tumbler, and see what 80 million year old tumbled stone looks like. Never know. Might have been much prettier in the past. Here's another example of that conglomerate rock. So here it is. It's wet. You can kind of see there's all different kinds of stuff in it. And this, unlike the other one, that's pretty well together. There's no chipping that apart very easily. What you can see is that it's got a really sandy makeup to this guy. And it almost resembles concrete, but it is not. Now we do have a piece, we'll find you another piece in a second here that's a little bit more chalcedony. And it's back over here. This guy is almost completely mineralized. Right. You see, this is a really super dark gray chalcedony. And it's got a lot of darker colored stones, more blue and black than red, like you see in the Great Lakes. Oh look, piece of petrified wood. Hey guys, it's the next day, and I brought that sample home, and I just ran it through the tumbler with just plain water. And what we did was ran off that batch, and that's this stuff here. And we're going to throw a little water on it, help you see it a little better. Because this time, this is the first time these rocks have seen the light of day in, well, 80 million years or so. So what we can see is that we've got some of that light blue that I showed you. It's a little easier to see it underwater. It's a really nice robin's egg blue. Some white quartz. There's some red jasper in there. There's even a little bit of red and yellow. So I'm going to get a little closer on this because this light is going to kill me. You kind of see what's going on there. It's a lot of different colors. And you can see there's even some shell in there. I'm going to pick out one of the shells and show that to you. Here we go. There's a little shell. A little shell fossil in there. There's a couple more of those in there. You can see some weird stuff. But the stones are all pretty much consistent. There's some chalcedony and quartz. Not too much different than what we have today. But that light blue is really cool. It's a really pretty blue. But you can see this material is pretty fine-grained. It's almost like silt, and it's ash. Looks like it is just sedimented volcanic ash. But it's starting to break down, and it takes quite a while for that to happen. But there you go. The inside of a puddingstone for the first time in 80 million years. And I think this is cool. I mean, maybe this makes me a bit of a nerd, but to think that these guys were already old and weathered when they became part of this already old and weathered stone. That's just kind of an interesting perspective. Maybe that's something only rockhounds appreciate, but I just figured I'd share that with you and let you see what a puddingstone looks like when it finally begins to decompose. Until next time, guys, have fun out there and stay safe. Oh, there we go. Dawn Wallace. Dawn, get in touch through the comments and we will work out a way to ship some stones off to you. Congratulations, Dawn.